And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. Champions League matches all but complete. I've raised as many questions as they have answers. I think there's a few answers in there, but just as many questions and concerns still, I think, as to what the hell I'm going to do in game week 23. What I do know, there's a little graph there, and you can see my progress this season. Looks like a Blackpool roller coaster, doesn't it? In my search for consistency and start to get that little just about there, get that little upward arc going a little bit more consistently. It doesn't have to be massive every week, just tick 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 along. That's what I need to see now. Problem is, in this game week I could end up with just having 8 or 9 players taking the pitch. I think there's a few of my concerns have been allayed a little bit, not hugely though, not hugely. I mean, if we run through the team, it really is like in the little video. Oh, by the way, the video, thank you guys for all the lovely comments. Caroline was chuffed actually. It was a lot of fun making that one with my lady, and I'm glad it got so many comments and likes, and it gave you guys a laugh. But the context of it was very, very true. The team looks fantastic on paper. You know, the only yellow flag there at the moment is Nunes, who I think will be okay. And I think, given City's performance against Blodderglimst, puts United's win against them a little bit into context, doesn't it? You know, are we all getting a bit too excited too soon as United supporters by beating them 2-0 when they go to Blodderglimst and lose 3 goals to them? City defence is very, very poor. Very, very poor. Morale in the team seems to be low. I think Nunes will probably be okay, and I think if they can put him out in a wheelchair, I think they probably will into that defence. I do expect he'll be okay, but we don't know that for 100% sure, do we? And I've obviously got, at least I know, again, not so much worry because, you know, I mean, it's a benching dilemma anyways. Would I want to play Alderete? Could go with a 5-4-1. 5-4-1 wouldn't be too bad. I mean, if I run through the team before we get to some of the bigger issues, I don't think Nunes is my biggest issue. But if I did go with a back 5, you know, would have Verbruggen in goal, Fulham away, not too bad a fixture. You know, hopefully they can keep a clean sheet. I do expect Fulham would score, but maybe a clean. You know, where are clean sheets coming from these days? They come almost as a surprise when you get them, and it's all just a big bonus, isn't it? Tarkowski leads at home, showing a very, very healthy 6-point average. I think Branthwaite he's back training on grass, so Branthwaite coming back at some point soon is certainly going to strengthen that Everton defence. Alderete just showing an average of 3, but West Ham United always a reasonable chance there, I think, for a team like Sunderland, and certainly you'd expect potentially some DEFCON there from Alderete. Chow, Villa home, Villa. Couple of serious injury problems in the team now of some of their best players, which I think is actually going to affect them. And St James's Park, not the easiest place to go to. And you know, Newcastle starting to show a little bit of defensive form now as well. So hopefully we could get something out of that one. And Gabriel against Man United at home. It's going to be a good 50% there. Chance for a clean sheet. Dodgy United defence, I think, from set pieces. Yeah, you'd fancy he'll come away with something in the region of a 6 to an 8 out of that, maybe even more. Could be mega hoarding. Is Gabriel a captaincy pick? We'll talk about that shortly. Midfield. On any other day, you know, I'd be really, really happy with this going out. A few weeks ago, I've been really, really happy with this going out. Rice, clearly United home. Rice on set pieces. Decent chance, I think, of DEFCON because of the nature of the game. Crashing the box. You know, Saka cutbacks, you know, crashing the box, and he goes well against United, does Rice. I think there's a hole in Rice's future, and I think it could come in this game. Another captaincy option. On to the worries though. Palmer and Foden. Foden just showing a 2-point average across the last 5, but that actually probably extends to 6, doesn't it? Since his 7, I think it was 7 games ago for his last haul. Just 2 points. Palmer 4.2. I'd be actually very happy with Palmer. Wasn't in the Chelsea squad this morning though. Wasn't in the Chelsea squad. I think he's my biggest worry. I think he's my biggest worry. Yeah, according to Maresca, he's fine. I mean, Chelsea did rotate 7 or 8 players this morning. I think Caicedo got the goal. Don't know. I think he could go. I'm still undecided. I think I have to wait for the pressers though. I do have a bit of a crazy thought of something I could do to address all concerns, or most of them. It could have a nice kick for me this game week, but it is fraught with risk. But since when have I not been afraid to take a risk or do something daft? Problem is, I'll talk about it in a minute. Could be daft. But as I say, it's keeping that, whatever side it's on now, I'm not looking at the screen, whatever side that upward curve is on, so this side I think, isn't it? I want to keep that going. Even if it's just steady. Just see progress on a week by week basis, as opposed to this bloody roller coaster I've got going on at the moment. Palmer's still a worry. I'm no clear on whether he's going to be okay. Maresca, is he going to tell us the truth? Will Palmer start? Do I even care? Should I just replace him anyways? Bring in Enzo, get the cash. Another player I like who's coming back, Ndai. He was a little, 25-30% DEFCON, and was going really well for Everton. Not sure that's where I want to go. It's a little bit tempting though. It releases a big chunk of money. Foden, 2-point average. Wolves home. Could go horribly wrong. Did play 70 in the Champions League. Absolutely shite again. But then so were all of the City players. But is he going to start? He's going to get dropped soon, surely. Will it be this week? Or will he give him Wolves at home, get them to rebuild a bit of confidence? They can't afford giving people game time to rebuild confidence. City need results and need them fast. He's a flat track pulley though, Foden. Don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Saka, Man United home. I'm actually pretty confident. One of the things I think did get answered a little bit for me. I think. Don't think Saka can. Don't think Arteta can afford to take chances now. I think Saka will start. I think now that Arsenal are guaranteed to finish in the top 2 in Europe, and I think the next match isn't. The next match is irrelevant. It's a dead rubber. So I think that's where he'll probably get his rest, and that he should be okay then for Leeds and Sunderland at home. Might start to have a little think about Saka then. We'll see how that's progressing. Is he still getting early subs? But honestly, just at the moment, I think as long as he's getting 60 or 70 minutes, yeah, I'll take that. Like I said, he could have scored. Saka could have got 2 goals and assists, 2 goals and 2 assists in his 30 minutes that he had in game week 22. And although he's down to a 4.2 average, he has had 2 early subs, which was in 20 and 22. In fact, he's only had 30 minutes in those 2 games. So although I talk about my 6-7 point average I expect from him consistently, he'd probably be there, wouldn't he, if he wasn't on such limited minutes in 2 out of those last 3 games. So no real worries in terms of his form. He actually looks really good. Just need him out on the pitch. And I do think he's going to be out on the pitch for the next one, and highly likely I think for Leeds and Sunderland at home. I think Arteta can start to put the priority now, a little bit for a few weeks at least, into the Premier League. And I do believe that above all else Arteta wants to win that Premier League, and that makes it a little easier now that, as I say, they are qualified, guaranteed a top 2 place in their Champions League group. Bruno G, he was one that there was a little plan to move him out at some point, but you know what, he's guaranteed his minutes. He does look very good. Gets the occasional penalty with Gordon, and Gordon been off the pitch, and Walter Meade quite often off the pitch with early subs. So there's always a chance he gets a penalty in the last 30 minutes as well. And Villa home, I don't think that's bad. Liverpool away. Liverpool had a good result, didn't they? We'll talk about that in a second. Away to Marseille, I think it was, wasn't it? 3-0. Brentford home's grand. Tottenham away is not bad. City away, I've got it. It shouldn't be in green there. It should be a red fixture, but I think at best it's actually blue at the moment with that City defence. Everton at home, Man United home. I don't think Newcastle's fixtures are that bad, really. I might hang on to him for a bit. I think I'm forced to hang on to him for a bit. And then probably the biggest dilemma. I think the biggest dilemma I have got this game week, and I think all of us have it, is Haaland. Wolves at home. Do we put the captain's armband on him? I don't think any of us are quite yet at the point of selling him, but if this goes on, it's going to come to that point. It will come to that point. But Wolves at home, Jesus, it'd be scary not to captain him. But supposing he doesn't start, what are the risks? What are the risks? In his current form, I mean, I think he only got one shot or something anyway against GW23. Because City was shocking. I mean, really shocking. As bad as they were against United, it got worse. Wolves at home. Wolves are not bad at the moment. They're going to go there and they're going to set him with a low block, defend well, could potentially hit City on the break and nick a goal. Wouldn't surprise me. But I'm not sure this is the 3-4-5 goaler that we would have thought some weeks back. It could just be a goal or two. Maybe it is 3 goals. How many of them does Haaland actually get involved in? A goal and assist. But supposing he blanks again. You know, if he got a goal and assist, what's that? 11, 12 pointer. I think Gabriel and Rice are well capable of getting their 7 or 8 points each. I'm really tempted to move away from Haaland on the captaincy, based on the risk factor of, does he even start? I think he will start. But if he doesn't start, supposing he comes on for 30 minutes and you've wasted your captaincy, and does that even guarantee you get anything with 30 minutes? I don't know. I think that actually is one of the biggest questions I think we've all got. And you know what? I do not have an answer on it. Really don't. But Pep has said he's knackered. He needs a rest. City are looking woeful. They're not creating chances. Got an early sub against United, didn't he? Not sure how long he stayed on against GW23 during the week. It is really is a dilemma, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. So here are my questions. Do I roll? There is who's safe in that team. Verbruggen's safe, I'd say. Tarkowski's safe. Aldereti's safe. Chow, I'd say, is safe. Gabriel's safe. Rice is safe. Foden, yeah, is a risk. Saka's fine, I think. Bruno G is fine. Haaland's fine. No, Haaland's not fine. Haaland's a risk. Haaland's a risk. I think Nunes should be okay. I think a worst case scenario, I end up playing with 10 players if I rolled. I could end up playing with 10 players if I rolled. I do think I'll have 11 out there, with most of them starting, hopefully getting most of a full match. And maybe if there is a surprise, well, it wouldn't really be a surprise, but if a Foden's benched or say 2 of them don't start, there's a reasonable chance one of them will come on and I'll get at least 1 point. It's not the daftest decision to roll, I think, until we got more information. Now, that would be the sensible thing to do. Roll, get more information, have 2 transfers. I know I want Bruno Fernandes in 24. That is not a negotiable. I want him in for that Fulham home, Tottenham home, West Ham away, Crystal Palace home. Yeah, something like that, whatever it is. And then I've got another transfer then to maybe turn Palmer into an Enzo, or Foden into someone if he's looking dodgy. But basically, the sensible thing would be to roll. Now onto my crazy idea. I'm sorely tempted by this. I hate dragging problems from one game week to another. So what are my problems here? Palmer, Foden, potentially Haaland. But we can deal with the Haaland problem another day. bench boost. I'm going to probably sound like a loon here. Bench. When I set this team out, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was it was not quite as light as what I thought I had John, who he was looking like he was secure as a 4 million keeper, but that's obviously changed. There was always a risk with that, of course, but it seemed like a punt worth taking, having Nottingham Forest keeper, playing Nottingham Forest keeper as a rotation for 4 million. That gamble has clearly worked out very, very badly. I knew Obi and Barnes was extremely light, and I really only had one piece of bench cover, but it was a risk I was prepared to take for 4 or 5 game weeks, where I was going with my super duper midfield and my super strong defence, and then I saw players falling like flies, namely I think Gavardio was first, and Bruno, etc. So my cunning plan of literally pouring, and when I say every single dollar, into the team, and just with one piece of bench cover, was geared towards a 5 game week plan with every single player on that pitch capable of the mega haul. And it cost about 104.6 million, which was my budget at the time, and it took every cent of that. And of course it kind of, I know I've been getting, I think I've had 3 green arrows out of 4 since I started to do that strategy, the 4-5-1, and then the wild card, etc. It is now looking very, very shaky. And the plan had originally been that I'd roll a few transfers and then take out the weakest of the midfields by about 25, release some cash, and do some bench strengthening with regards to a potential bench boost, but more as we sort of started to get a picture of what is going to happen in the doubles and blanks going forward, to create a little bit of some players I can use then, build up some more transfers, etc., etc. Kind of a story for another day, or was supposed to be. But supposing I move that forward, I hate bench boosting. I hate the bench boost chip. We tie ourselves in knots with it time after time, and they sometimes don't work, and sometimes they do. I think in the 3 seasons I've been playing FPL, 4 seasons, really only the last 2 seriously, but it was the one I actually played. So I've only had 1 successful bench boost, and you tie yourself up into knots trying to do them, and quite often they don't work, and it's at the detriment of the team as a whole. However, supposing I use the bench boost, I reckon I need 4 transfers to do a bit of a fix on some of the issues and concerns in the team. Suppose I just did those transfers, and with that strengthened the bench, and used the bench boost as a way of hopefully paying off the hits, because the one thing I don't want to do is start to go backwards again and start the week on a -4, a -8, a -12, which is what I kind of need to fix not all, but a good chunk of the problems I have in the team. I get 8 points out of the bench boost, then it's just 4. But hey, you never know. Maybe the bench boost works brilliantly, and it pays for the hits. Is this mental? I haven't had a good bench boost in, as I say, one in 3 or 4 seasons that I've actually had, and last year's one was a complete and utter disaster. I think I got 3 points out of it, but there were reasons for that. It was taking a stupid punt. It did not have good players on the bench. So how would I do that? Do I do that? Palmer would go. I've got 1.7 in the bank currently, but Palmer would go. So that would relieve that problem. And it probably would be Enzo. Minor concern on Enzo, given the new fella's comments that he doesn't know Enzo's best position, whether it's 8 or 10 or whatever. I think Enzo's a good pick, and I feel like I do need to have some Chelsea in there. Don't need it for Crystal Palace though. so sure I do. Not so sure I do. Certainly West Ham, I'd like to have someone in there. But well, let's assume Enzo for the minute, because certainly would like to have some Chelsea in there. So assume Palmer goes to Enzo. What is that? That frees up about 4 million odd. I've got 5.7 million. Okay. Removes the Palmer issue. And you know, Enzo's numbers, you know, pretty good. Listen, for that money, he's returned in 3 of his last 5, and he's on a 5.6 average. I'll take that any day of the week. You know, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. And you never know with Enzo. You know, if Palmer's out, penalties. You know, so that those numbers could be boosted by the odd penalty here and there. And it would be good to have him in place for the Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley fixtures. Right, look at the bench. So let's think of this in terms of the bench. What could I do? Bring Sanchez in. Could look at, here we go. Definitely going to be a hay fever day, guys. Could upgrade John to Sanchez. Could also look at Sunderland, couldn't I? Oh God, his name's got out of my head, but you know what I mean. Sunderland keeper. Why's his name got out of my head? Really good keeper. Good defence. So even a bit cheaper there. If I did want that Chelsea double up, I don't want to go more than a double up with Chelsea. I think Sanchez would be my preferred, and there would certainly be some good solid rotations there, I think, with Verbruggen. But I think Chelsea on the whole, you know, Sanchez would get the lion's share of the fixtures. Let me just have a quick think on that. Crystal Palace away, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley. Yeah, just at the end there. Yeah, I could have Verbruggen back in for Forest home, I think. And there, yeah, so it's not as many rotations, but not too bad. Oh, excuse me, guys. Yeah, it's definitely hay fever time here. Okay, forwards, upgrading the 2 forwards. I still plan to be on the 4-5-1, sort of 5-4-1, but I'm not averse to the 4-4-2 for the right fixtures. Now, how nuts does this sound? Solanke. No one's got him. I'll bring Solanke in. I'm not even too sure who Spurs have got. I know that Spurs have got a mixed bag of fixtures over the next 5, 6, 7 weeks. There's some good fixtures and some tough ones in there, but certainly be some good rotations. It'd be a hell of a differential, wouldn't it? Played 70 in Europe, got a goal, very very ropey goal. What I liked was the style of the goal, with him hitting the goal line basically, and juggling it over the line. Hell of a differential. Then could look at Krupi Jr. Could probably go. I think I'd probably have enough money to go a little bit higher than that, to be honest with you. But look at that, you know, the third forward. Basically 3 transfers. I think you see where I'm going. You know, something like Sanchez, maybe a Solanke. There are other options, but I've just got this. You know what I'm like. I do like a punt, and I know none of them will work, so don't do what I do. But Solanke and another, and just pay the bloody bench boost. I should be 2, 4, 6, 8 points off the bench. Solve some issues, got some cover in case Haaland doesn't play, in case Foden doesn't play. If I choose the right players, I'm not saying for sure that those are the ones that I've chosen, they're the ones there. Oh, by the way, and I have roughly worked this out. I still have my money for Bruno in 24 if I do this. Utterly mental, eh? But fuck me, I haven't had a bench boost that's worked forever. It gets the bench boost out of the way, so I don't have to think about it ever again. I've got my bench kind of sorted out. if the bench boost comes off, maybe it goes ridiculously well and Slanky bags a brace. Sanchez keeps the clean sheet, so I've got some extra points, pushes me into, you know, the target is still to make sure I'm inside the top 500k by game week 25. There's no telling whether that's going to happen or not. But if I end up playing with only 9 or 10 players this week, it's going to make it all the harder, isn't it? So let's take some gain now, get some points out of a bench boost, hopefully 8, hopefully more, and sort some of these concerns in the team out. Of course, here's the sod's law. Do all that, and every single one of that starting 11 I've got start, and this team, which on paper looks amazing, mega holes. Well, my bench is a disaster. There's two sides of Des. Sensible Des, or do something crazy Des. And you know what? I still don't have the answer. I still don't have the answer. Continuing to think about it. Maybe I need a couple of wines this evening. Take care. Have fun. Play your own game. Don't panic. Be back in a day or so with Bishop Brennan Cup and the answers to these questions. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.